Hey guys, how are we doing? Back with another video from Nux Taku, and I am intrigued by the title. It also helps that a couple of people have asked me to react to this in the comment section on previous videos. Diversity is killing badass women. It just makes me think back to the gender equality video with Kazuma from Konosuba. I just like, I can't wait to see where he goes with this. Having problems with my backlight here. There we go. Let's get into this, shall we? Shall we do that?
I like a girl that could kick my ass.
Oh, Spike.
These words were said by Spike Spiegel from Cowboy
Hell
Bebop,
yes.
one of the greatest anime protagonists of all time. And it is more than just a cute quote. It is a life lesson and integral part of the lore that makes up Sawado. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's go. This is not synonymous to I want to get my ass kicked by a girl because that's kind of humiliating in certain scenarios or situations.
Yes, but he likes the idea of a woman being able to do it.
The philosophy of liking a girl that can kick ass is definitely there and rings true to this very day.
Yes.
It's a passion and a badassery that is awesome to find in women. And some of my favorite written female characters are in fact these badass ass kickers. And that said and done, it's for a myriad of reasons. It's not purely because this character is strong that makes the character likable. Strength is just a nice way to amplify many other character traits and themes of the story, whatever story we may be referring to. If it's well written to the point that it almost feels like a real character, it makes badass women extremely high on the totem pole.
This is such an interesting... I was talking to someone about the director of Charlie's Angels recently.
In real life is awesome, depending of course on
she's like, men don't like to see powerful women on screen. No, we do. We just want them to be written well.
Of an awesome kick-ass woman, but the well-written fictional badass women elevate the character to such a high degree, I had to go ahead and make this video. Because when it comes to badass, powerful women, there are more often than not, very unfortunately, 2 paths taken. Or 3 paths if you're including villains, but I'm not. Path A, extremely well-written character that becomes some of the fan-favorite characters of the respected series. And B, let's just throw a badass woman in this story because we respect women. And we want to make sure everyone knows that. And it's because of these very diametrically opposed versions of badass women. People have very different inclinations as to what a badass woman is. Now, in the anime scene, which is why I wanted to mostly talk about this, the idea of including different characters into any given franchise because of diversity reasons isn't really present. Their whole mindset is to make the series as good as possible, to make as much money as possible, and then proceed to milk it out with making sequels to just keep
I don't want to see this Netflix one.
But being that there's never any incentive to add badass women characters just because, oh look, we respect women, look, she's a badass. In turn, it makes the badass women all the more badass. By not including characters because of diversity, the diversity present becomes so much more real and badass feeling. I'm not talking about what I really think is right and wrong and the exact ratio between men, women, and different
just write them within the story. Don't make the story around the idea of having a badass woman in it. I said woman.
Because there needed to be a diverse character, more often than not the character is rather garbage.
Yes.
If it's just another character in this intricate story, and it happens to be a badass woman, well then, that badass woman falls into Spike Spiegel's version of
hell yes.
I like a woman that could kick my ass. In many shonen anime, being that it's targeted at boys between the ages of 12 and 18, women are useless. I don't know. I don't like the trope either, but it's definitely there for early shonen. Look at Naruto. Look at Bleach. Yeah, they were semi-useful, but compared to any of the male badasses, not even in the same league. And the same rings true for One Piece, Yu Yu Hakusho, Hunter x Hunter, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, at least until part 6, Magi, etc., etc. But since there was no need to add these badass characters, when they actually are added, it feels so organic in the story, it pushes the character themselves to an entire new level. Since we're in the realm of shonen, 2 characters I'd like to briefly mention are Urza Scarlet from Fairy Tail and Mereoleona Vermilion from Black
badass women.
These 2 characters are some of the best characters in their respective series. Urza is my second favorite character in Fairy Tail, and Mereoleona is actually my favorite character in Black Clover.
She's badass.
And both for completely different reasons. Urza's character stems from a complete emotional standpoint. The emotional core to her character is what makes her badass moments all the more badass. Fairy Tail is an anime where the Fairy Tail Guild is essentially the protagonist of the fairy tale story.
Yes.
We want to see this guild grow, we want to see it do well, and we want to see the fun interactions between the members.
God, he loves Fairy Tail so much.
Friendship, which is something that shows up, once or twice in the Fairy
Just
Tail
a few
story.
times.
From a thematic standpoint, it is warranted, even though from a power scaling standpoint, occasionally it's 100% garbage. So being that Fairy Tail's core is an emotional core, and the dynamic and love between the guild members and the guild itself are what's driving the story forward, Urza stemming from an emotional place, and not only one that loves the guild and fights for her friends, but she does so more than any other character in the series. Everyone has great moments where they're caring for their loved ones. You have Gray going rage mode after he thought Juvia died. You have Natsu going rage mode at the end of every single arc because something happened to the guild. You have Makarov who sacrifices his life for it. But as far as guild members goes, no one is on the level of Urza and the amount she actually cares.
She fights
her mother
so hard.
Is like this ridiculous immortal dragon witch woman that abandoned her at birth and is now trying to kill her. And Urza says with 100% earnesty, "Thank you for abandoning me and leaving me to live a torturous life in a slave mine. Because of that, I was able to meet Fairy Tail, my real family."
Damn.
And the fight goes on. From an emotional standpoint, the character cares for her friends more than any other character in the story, arguably, and that makes her badass feats all the more badass. When she's up against Tartaros, and she's hit with all these neurotoxins that increase her pain sensitivity astronomically, and also take away her senses of sight, smell, and hearing. And despite this massive predicament that she's in, where the breeze of the wind on her flesh feels like knives tearing it away, she beats her opponent. She is the queen of the fairies, and that is why she is an insanely badass character. It's not purely because she is a woman, she's hot, and she's also strong, that makes her a very great character. But being that her battle prowess is so high, and that's what she's been working on,
she's just class.
Socially,
she's such a strong
100%
character.
in the loop at all times. There are a lot of moments where casual phrases go over her head. When she gets embarrassed, she'll really visually show it and not try to hide it because she doesn't have experience with people all that much. Despite her love, she's a nuanced character that's fighting for her family, and that's what makes her badass moments when she is fighting for her family all the more badass. That's why Urza, despite Fairy Tail's reputation as not having a great plot or whatever, is an absolutely phenomenally written character.
I'll give you that. And now.
Maria Leona from Black Clover is coming from an entirely different stand. She is badass incarnate. That is her story, and that is her role in what's going on here. She isn't stemming from the emotional place that Urza is, but she's juggling this really interesting dynamic between, on the one hand, being a noble knight fighting for her kingdom, and on the other hand, being a savage beast that gets a thrill from entering these nuclear-level life and death battles. And it's because of this dynamic that makes her so interesting. She was wanted to be the guild master for one of the Magic Knight guilds in Black Clover, but instead she decided to ditch last minute, because heck nah, that won't allow her to fight as many baddies. But when the moment arose and she needed to step up to the plate, she did so, and she did it with passion. It's not just that she's insanely strong that makes her a good character. It's the fact that she keeps pushing herself even though she's insanely strong.
Yeah, she wants another challenge.
Goddamn inspirational. She's up against these elves, these other species, creatures that are so much more powerful.
There's only 5 of you? That's not fair.
And even when she should be passed out,
there needs to be at least
continue
100.
fighting. When she should drop is when she only gets stronger. And that is when her more noble side gets completely devoured by her more savage side, and she becomes a quasi-monster. Maria Leona is a great character because despite all of this ridiculous savagery, she is also an extremely caring individual for her subordinates and the people around her, as well as for her kingdom. She is an integral part of the Black Clover story, and she is a badass, and she is a badass woman done well.
Hell yes. So now.
That's as far as shonen goes. When anime starts hitting an older audience, and it's not just about getting the 12 to 18-year-old boys to empathize with the characters on screen, you do see a lot more badass women, and since there's no need to add these badass women for diversity purposes, they're just goddamn amazing, well-fleshed out characters. Faye Valentine from
Oh my
Cowboy
God,
Bebop
she's so
and
cool.
Revy from Black Lagoon are two of the
You see,
most
Black Lagoon's on my list of
badass
things to
women in
watch.
fiction. As much as I like Faye, she's not in Revy's league though.
Yo.
This woman curses more than she speaks other words. She is the head of this mercenary smuggling group, and she is badass incarnate. As far as badass characters go, she's not necessarily my favorite in anime,
No.
but she's potentially the
She's up
greatest
there.
in anime. Not because she's a woman, though. Her being a woman definitely bolsters her clout on R34, but it's not what makes her character great. Her character's great because of the personality, the humor, the borderline psychotic tendencies, laughing in the face of danger.
Yeah.
And I could list off a million more character traits that make her amazing. None of those traits are, she is a woman, but that is what makes this woman so amazing.
Right.
She's a well-written, extremely fun character first, and I highly recommend watching Black Lagoon, and her character design and gender comes
I have some really cool
secondary
Black
to
Lagoon
that.
coasters for my
We're not
drinks.
taking a
I
woman
got
and
in
saying,
the anime
alright,
box
how can we
ages
make
ago.
this woman badass?
Random
We're
thing for
taking
me
a
to try,
badass and
yeah.
saying this badass is also a woman. Anime is very cool in the fact that it's its own little enclosed bubble of reality, but it also definitely affects the outside world as well. There are many anime-inspired scenes
Perfect
and
Blue!
entire series that you can tell really pick up a lot of what anime leaves over. Not necessarily tropes, as much as writing style and character roles,
God,
but it's
Ryokyo
definitely
is weird.
there. And because of that, I would like to mention 3 series that are made in the West that are all anime-inspired. Heavily anime-inspired. In fact, these are the 3 most heavily inspired by anime
So, Avatar.
Western animations. And you'll notice something funny about them. The first I'd like to talk about is Avatar,
There we go.
The Last Airbender. If you look at powerful characters in the series, especially from the new gen, you'll be surprised that,
Well, like Korra.
Nani? The majority are women! That's right, it's not just one token woman to take fire away for not including one. It's because it's just a genuinely well-written character that is a woman and that is badass that makes the character cool. Azula, Katara, and Toph are all well-written characters by their own rights. Azula is a villain, and I said I would not be talking about villains because that's badass women gone crazy, which may be
Right.
something I relate to, but not the type of women I want kicking my ass. But if you look at the other 2, Katara and Toph, they are 2 of the most liked characters in the series. Toph being my either second or third favorite in all of Avatar.
Is Toph blind?
Toph is a blind girl
There we
that
go.
was born
Right.
to an extremely, ridiculously, overly rich family, which has its downsides, I guess. And they raised her as, oh, the poor, sickly little Toph. We must care for her because she's blind. Not saying this to make fun of blind people. It's a tragedy
yeah.
if someone's born blind. And yes, it's nice to have a sense of pity towards people that have any ailment, but if you treat them like a freaking invalid, they ain't gonna grow.
They're not gonna like
Toph
that.
wasn't about that. She was strong-minded enough to say, F no. I am not going to be this freaking invalid, and I am
Aw.
not going to be pitied by everyone. So unbeknownst to her parents, she practiced earthbending and became the goddamn greatest earthbender in the world.
Cool.
She enters these ridiculously prominent fight tournaments, and she absolutely demolishes her opponents by feeling the vibrations in the ground, and then sending a tidal wave
Whoa.
of blood to eliminate her foes. She calls
Awesome.
herself a blind bandit because she's blind and no one knows her identity as this, oh, poor little girl that comes from this very, very, very rich family.
Yeah.
They didn't even tell the world about. Toph was raised by a family that did not want the outside world to know they even had a kid to shelter her more because, oh, poor blind Toph. Now, Toph's
Damn.
background is rough. Not rough as in, oh, crazy arduous labor, but when everything is handed to someone on a silver platter. Literally everything. Most people will cave and just decide, alright, I'm just
Fine,
not
it's
gonna
happy.
do shite for the rest of my life. I have infinite money. I have infinite servants. They all want to pamper me. Heck yeah, I'll get pampered. Becoming a spoiled brat is literally the easiest thing in the world for someone in a situation like that. And from a child's perspective, what reason do they have to fight the system and say, no, I will not be a spoiled brat? No one thinks that way. Unless they're, I don't know, badass. Toph
Yeah.
thought that
That's
way.
cool.
Toph
I like
said,
this.
yes, everything everything could be handed to me on a silver platter, but I am myself going to support myself. Not only financially, but I am going to protect myself, and I am going to become my very own person. Not only that, but I'm also striving for greatness. I will become greater than any earthbender the world has ever seen before, and she did. The fortitude of mind that it took for her to remain calm and composed for her parents that wanted to do everything from her, but at the same time, she was able to live a double life where she said, no, I will take care of myself with no friends, all alone. It developed this sense of badass pride that she had. So when she finally ran away from her parents to join Aang's gang, hashtag Aang gang, in defeating the Fire Nation or whatever, she was so comfortable with herself, even though she was being someone that she's never been before. This is a phenomenally written character from her backstory alone, and not because she's a whammon. In fact, her being a whammon has absolutely nothing to do with what makes her great. Also, she's a whammon. Are you noticing a trend here?
Yeah.
She has this rough personality now. She's always making jokes at other people's expenses because she was brought up having to always be tight-lipped about literally everything. She didn't mind being a slob, and she punched people to show affection. She took what her family stifled her from and made it herself. And she did it in the most badass way possible, creating metal bending. Until now, earthbenders were only able to bend earth, but she was able to bend the fragments of earth within metal. She developed a technique that would define generations to come. Toph is a ridiculously badass whammon, and I love her character so goddamn much.
Cool.
I may actually do a separate video on her. I was considering that for a while now.
Right, what else we got?
The second Western animated series that's inspired by anime that I'd like to talk about is RWBY. So, RWBY's something I only watched just recently, just like Avatar, and my favorite character is up in the air. I'm not sure if it's Crow or if it's Yang, but I'm kind of leaning towards Yang. Mind you, I only watched the first 3 seasons at the time of writing this video.
Thank God.
RWBY introduces, like,
do not carry on from there.
Right away,
Looks, just stop.
Doesn't really develop any of them. That said, Yang stands
1 to
as
3
my
is
favorite.
fantastic, and then it just completely goes off the
Yes,
rails
to
and
be
it's
fair,
dumb.
most of them can. But the one who'll have a good time doing it is Yang.
Yeah, she is badass,
She
like.
gets riled up. She gets into fights. She's selected by their team in the tournament to be the one to represent them because they know she could kick ass. What happens to her at the end of the 3rd season is tragic. To see her hopes absolutely shattered like that, and that's one of the things that cemented her as my favorite character in the series, at least so far. But even
Seeing her get
though
over that's
the
pretty
universe
interesting as
was
well, but that's the
conspiring
only interesting...
against her, putting her in a match where she broke an enemy's leg because she was under an illusion that the enemy attacked her, and she was disqualified,
Yeah, that's
ruining not
class.
only her own hopes of winning this tournament, but also all of her friends that elected her to represent them. And then, in her next battle, she lost an arm, unable to protect her other friends,
Against
and
Adam,
she just
man.
let down, even further pushing her down. She was really depressed, and rightfully so. It's definitely a character mood that fits the scenario, and this is right after losing a previous battle to Parasol Chick, where her mother popped out of nowhere to save her butt. But despite the things that knock her down, she keeps picking herself up. At the end of the 3rd season, not so much, but I'm sure she will again, because that is what the character represents.
But,
she doesn't have any noble goal. RWBY wanted to become a huntress to protect people, and she was like, nah fam, this is where the wind is blowing me, this is what I want to do right now, and this is what I'll end up doing. Despite the fact that she doesn't have that, she does everything that she does do with an absolute passion and badass aura. She's a great character, and even though a lot of people told me to drop RWBY after season 3, I am looking forward to seeing what ends up becoming more.
I am not surprised. I'm pretty sure it was on Twitter, wasn't it? Everyone was just like, stop, just stop now. It's a shame.
The third anime-inspired
Teen
Western series that I would like to
Titans.
talk about is Teen Titans.
Cool.
Raven is hands down my favorite female
So
character
cool.
in all of fiction. I made 2
Fight
videos
fate,
of what
girl.
makes her an amazing character. One
I've not watched
talking
either of
about her
those, but I
psychology,
loved
and
her
the other
character
one
as Teen
talking about
Titans.
her impact on the overarching series. Raven is ridiculously
Destined
badass
to
at
bring
points,
the
but
world
also
to an
sensitive
end.
and weak at different
Fight
points.
fate.
On an emotional level, she is ravaged by her past and by her surroundings, but despite that, she pushes forward. Until this point, I was talking about really goddamn passionate women. Revi, Mereoleona, Urza, Yang, Toph, they all have a fire and a spark. And Raven, she's like this goth chick that's walking around all mopey-like for the majority of the series. It turns out, though, she is hiding her emotions because her emotions will make her powers go out of control, and she doesn't want to emulate her father because he's interdimensional metrosexual Satan. But despite that, when it is her time to shine, and when things really do seem like they're down in the dirt, she will reveal how passionate passionate she truly is that she was trying to suppress her entire life. It's dangerous to suppress emotions because it could make you hollow. And also because it's not a healthy way of living your life, just keeping baggage in your mind at all times. Unfortunately, she has to go about doing that. In order to keep her powers in check, she literally has to destroy her mental state, and she does to protect everyone. And when it's time to release her passion, she is more passionate about her friends than anyone else is. She is an absolutely badass wham, but not because she's a wham. Now that I've talked about anime and anime-inspired series and a lot of really badass kick-ass women that I goddamn love, I guess the time has come to talk about characters that were whamming first and characters second. Very briefly,
yes.
Never fear, that's not what this video is meant to be about. But all these characters, they're in the series because the series is better with a character like this. They're not in the series because, oh, we need to check whamming off our list to make things go smoother. I feel like Korra from The Legend of Korra did not hold up this mantle nearly as well as Aang did, as far as a protagonist goes. Just like The Legend of Korra show wasn't nearly as anime-inspired as Avatar The Last Airbender was. Started dealing with equality issues and so many other more Western concepts. Not to say that I didn't like that part. I think that Amon is the greatest character in The Legend of Korra. But Korra is just really powerful, hot-headed, makes terrible decisions time and time again, and the series rewards her for those terrible decisions because, hey, things worked out after all. You have this guy Tenzin, calm-minded dude that's trying to get her to do the right thing, and she ends up not listening, doing her own thing because her time of the month is the whole goddamn month. Things eventually work out after some casualties, and Tenzin's like, I'm sorry, Korra, you were in fact right. Whammon, I respect you. And then years later, oh, by the way, fun fact, you know how Korra was hitting on dudes for like the first few seasons? Yeah, she's actually gay. Very cool. I'm not getting into different character analyses on why I don't like certain characters. Rey from the new Star Wars trilogy, or Captain Marvel, or even Elsa from Frozen. Her sister was frozen and only true love could thaw her, and true love was her sister? Nani? I feel like the character archetype of an extremely badass whammon is goddamn phenomenal. It produces some of the truly greatest characters and some of my absolute favorites. That said, if they're only in the story and they're only badass because we need to have a badass whammon in the story,
doesn't work
it
as well.
kind of muddies the water entirely. I literally like Korra's character more on Rule 34 than in the goddamn story!
Oh god.
It shouldn't come as a surprise to many, but, well, it doesn't exactly say wonderful things for original character content. I really appreciate you sticking around to watch this video. I hope you enjoyed it.
I did, that was very good.
I hope you would, because it could potentially get me in many mucho gallons of hot water. I hope you did enjoy this video. It's slightly different than the content I usually do, but it is similar to content that I would like to do if you enjoyed this video. Please smash like. I will be looking at the likes on this video in comparison to other videos to know if you like this kind of content, so please hit the like thingo. That would be really cool. Subscribble for future, whatever the heck type videos I want to make, because I just make what I'm passionate about. That's just kind of how I roll. Hit the bell to be notified. Check out my other stuff. I have links in the descriptions to all my social media and Twitch and subreddit and all that fun stuff. Have yourselves the most wonderful evening, and remember to stay weird, fam.
That was really good. It's really interesting because at the moment, like, there is that thing, isn't there, with like the Charlie's Angels movie has completely bombed, and the directors come out and said that like men don't like to see badass women on screen or something like that. I'm not quoting, but and then I was talking to my girlfriend. And it's like, well, if the character's interesting, then they're gonna be interesting to see on screen. Don't just put a woman in there for the sake of having a woman in there. Have the woman be an interesting character and grow. Like, that's what makes them badass. That's so weird that that's what that video was about. It's like literally just last night I was talking about that. I wasn't expecting this video to be this. I thought it was going to be like a really stupid, silly, like Nook says, it's not his normal thing, but that was really good. It was a really interesting video, and people should take note, because we do like seeing badass women on screen. Just make them really interesting characters. I love Alien, I love Terminator. Got no problem with seeing a badass woman on screen. Ghost in the Shell, Perfect Blue, la 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 la. You know, it's like, oh. Anyway. Thank you guys very much for watching. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe, leave comments down below. Let me know what you want to discuss in future videos, and I'll see you guys. It's all you guys next time.